Hello and welcome to another Magnus Carlsen Hikaru Nakamura game. Now we are on day 4, game 3. So what happened so far is Hikaru Nakamura is leading 2-1 in the days. And this is game 3 of the day. The first 2 games were drawn. So in this game Magnus Carlsen is with the white pieces, and this is his last chance to take the lead with the white pieces essentially. So let's see how the game goes. It's e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. And now here comes the surprise that no Berlin for this game, but bishop c4, the Italian game. The game continues normally, bishop c5, castles, knight f6, d3, d6, c3. While here Nakamura plays a last common with h6, but this is still theory. Carlsen goes with rook e1, castles, knight d2, and here Nakamura plays a5. So the idea of this a5 move is that it prevents white from playing b4 in the future. It also makes some room for the black bishop. Carlsen continues with knight f1, hinting towards some d4 ideas very soon. Comes bishop e6, bishop b5, knight e7, and here Carlsen plays the move d4. Takes, bishop b6, knight g3. And if we stop here for a bit, we can see that actually white managed to reach the nice pawn center, so e4 and d4 pawns, and also the black minor pieces are quite cramped, so this bishop is not so good, the knight is not clear where it goes, this knight could be chased away, but the biggest problem actually is that this b6 bishop could be a huge problem in the long run, because it runs into this wall on d4, otherwise this is very passive. So Nakamura tries to create some counterplay and starts with d5, that's a very logical move. Carlsen goes with e5, and now comes knight e4. And well, the idea is that if Carlsen takes on e4, that after d takes, rook takes, and bishop d5, all of a sudden the black pieces are actually quite active. This bishop looks very good on d5. At some point it can take on f3, and then the d4 pawn would also hang. The black knight could go to f5, putting more pressure on d4. So this position is all of a sudden would be very good for black. So for that reason, as usual, white doesn't take on e4, but plays another move, bishop d3. Here Nakamura forced to take on g3, takes back, and well, as I said, this position is not very comfortable for black. This the main problem is this b6 bishop. So the computer's first move here would be bishop g4 and try to well, pin this knight and put some pressure on d4. In the long run, try to well, waken up this this b6 bishop. But Nakamura played another move. He played a4, and the idea is that the bishop on some good day can go to a5 and be finally active. But here comes Carlsen with a very common plan in these positions. So what he does is he plays bishop c2, creating this battery on d3, and in the long run giving some checkmate. So white's idea is quite clear. In such positions, white will try to launch an attack on the king side. So here Nakamura continues with a3, so looking for the counterplay on the queen side. Carlsen took it, comes bishop g4, then this position Carlsen played a4. And this a4 actually turns out to be a very nice move, because the idea behind it is to play bishop e3 and activate the dark squared bishop there, also pinning the knight on this diagonal. So the game goes on with the black developing. Now comes bishop e3, rook e8, and here Carlsen took on e7 with the idea that when queen takes back, finally the white queen can go to d3, and the white attack is developing very fast. So in this position, black's only defense is g6, and here this is the position when Carlsen actually went into the tank, so he started to think for longer, which is a bit of a surprise because his next move, knight h4, is very given. However, he probably already calculated the complications that arises after queen b4. So queen b4 is the only well, the only move that provides some counterplay for black, so Nakamura had to go for it, and he did. in this position, so now the complication starts. So here you can start the video and start thinking how white should continue the attack. So while queen b4 obviously is hinting toward taking the d4 pawn, but it actually leaves the king side unprotected. So white's next move is very given, knight takes g6. And the idea behind this is that if black takes, then comes queen g6, and then this bishop is taken and the black king is gonna get mated. So this is a no-go. So to knight g6, the only move is queen takes d4. And again, in this position, you can stop the video because the tactical battle continues. So, well, here again, white goes on and sacrifices his knight again with knight e7. But again, the knight is still untouchable. So if black takes on rook on e7, then this is just a quick mate in 2. So taking on e7 is not possible. So black has to play king f8, and here white took the pawn on d5. So again, if we stop for a moment, white is actually now up by 2 pawns, and also the pawn structure around the black king is ruined. However, the black pieces at this moment are actually relatively active. Black has 2 bishops, finally this b6 bishop is also active. Here's the g4 bishop, and well, there is some counterplay because of the bishops. So here the best continuation would have been just taking on d3 and then preserve the bishop with bishop e5, and actually black has reasonable chances to hold the position. And this would have been sort of fitting in for the theme of this whole game, that Carlsen is pushing, but Nakamura is just playing for the draw and defending very, very tough positions. However, this is not what Nakamura did. What he did was queen takes f2. And the problem is that after king h2, now black took a pawn. However, the f file is now open, there is rook f1 coming, and the black king is in serious trouble. So Nakamura continues with the only logical move here, rook d8, pinning the knight on the d file. However, now comes rook f1. And well, actually this is the position where black has many different ways to try to defend. However, none of them is actually sufficient. So here I will throw some defensive move at you, and you can, after every move, you can stop the video and try to figure out how white would win. So the first move that comes to mind would be bishop f5. The idea about bishop f5 is that now the bishop is actually blocking the f file, and if white takes an f5, then black can take back, and after rook f5, rook d5, well, white is still doing very, very well, but there is some thought to take bishop b3. White is doing very well, but at least the queens are off the board. So this is the idea behind bishop f5, and that's why white's best continuation is not to take an f5, but give this intermediate check with queen e3. And here, either way, if black plays queen c5 or bishop c5, the best move for white is just to play queen c1, which is a very nasty move, and it's very hard to foresee. But the problem is that now this h6 pawn is hanging, and the black king is going to be executed. So for example, rook takes d5, queen h6, king e7, and now after queen f6, say king d7, there comes bishop takes f5, and the black's position is collapsing. So this is how bishop f5 loses. Another move that comes to mind to defend would be bishop e2. So again, here the idea is that if white takes the queen, then black can also take the queen, and now this bishop is also, another rook is also hanging. But to bishop e2, there is once again a nice finishing touch. So if you don't say it, you can stop the video. Otherwise, I'll go on. So the finishing move is just queen h7, with the idea of simply delivering checkmate in 1, and the black queen is also hanging. So this is once again game over. And well, to this rook f1, actually Nakamura played yet another move. He went on with rook takes e5, but actually there is one more line I would like to show you, which is what happens if queen d4 comes. So now black saves his king. However, as I mentioned before, there is this open f file. So again, you can stop the video here and find a very quick way to mate the black king. So while the move is very straightforward, rook takes f7, and after queen g6, there is queen f7, queen g6 is coming, and queen f8, rook f1, and the game is over again. So Nakamura obviously saw all these lines, so after king h2, rook d8, rook f1, he decided to sacrifice his queen, and he played the move rook e5. And this is actually a tricky continuation, because, well, now white takes the queen, and here black plays rook takes d5. And the idea behind this whole thing is that black would like to take an f2 on a good day, and then just simply go rook h5 and give checkmate. Yeah, but of course Carlsen is also paying attention, and he once again found the best way to continue. In this position he played rook takes f7. And once again the idea is that after queen takes f7, now comes the other rook, rook f1, king e8 to say queen h7, king d6 for example, queen g6, bishop g2, and here the idea is that now white plays g4, securing his own queen, and if we just do a quick counting of material, we can see that actually white is up in material big time. So yeah, this is just a completely winning position for white. So for that reason, Nakamura actually didn't take the rook but played king e8. So again, the threat is just to deliver checkmate in one on rook h5. However, here Carlsen decided to give back some material, but make the position very clearly winning for white. So he took on d5, and after rook takes d5 came bishop g6. So now this bishop takes away the h5 square from the rook. So this is so the rook h5 checkmating ideas are well vanishing, and also this king is now in the pin. So came king d8, and after rook e1, this is once again clear that the white pieces are so much more active, and white is again up in material. So the game is soon to be over. There came c6, rook takes b7, bishop c7, and after rook e8 check, king d7, rook h8, the plan is simply rook h7 and taking the bishop. So here Nakamura resigned. So this was game 3, a very sharp tactical battle, and this way Carlsen took the lead in this mini match, and Nakamura actually had no chance to answer in the following game. So Carlsen managed to win this day with a 2.5 score, and the players are actually even after 4 days. So the score is 2-2, and this is best of 4, so they're playing at least 2 more days to decide who is going to be the champion of the Magnus Carlsen Tour. So I'm going to continue the coverage of this final, obviously, because it's super interesting. So see you in the next videos.